This is the Yakima Agenda Podcast, a production of YPAC and the Community Relations Office of the City of Yakima. Our show focuses on issues that are important to the Yakima area. I'm Randy Beeler. I host the show. Welcome to the Yakima Agenda Podcast. Well, welcome again to the first ever Yakima Agenda Podcast. It's a new venture for YPAC and our Community Relations Office. We're really excited to be launching this program, and we're super honored to have as our very first guest, Yakima City Manager Vicky Baker. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is really fun. Everybody's into the podcast, so I'm excited to be here.
It's pretty cool. We try to get information out in a number of different ways, and this is one of those ways that we're adding, and looking forward to seeing how it plays and how people accept it. So, as I told you before we started, you've been in the job as Yakima City Manager now for just over a year, a little bit over a year. Early August was your 1-year anniversary. And in other interviews that we've done with you, we've had an opportunity, and through other ways, you've had an opportunity for some people in the Yakima area who may not have been familiar with you before to get to know you a little bit. However, what we want to do today is spend a little bit of time learning about your background, where you came from, where you were born, how you ended up in Yakima, et cetera. So why don't you begin the story where it began?
Okay. Well, I was actually born in Corvallis, Oregon, third generation Oregon Staters. I mean, orange and black, and I apologize to all the Cougs and Huskies out there. I support you, of course. I live in Washington, but I was definitely raised going to Oregon State games. My grandfather was actually head of the English department at Oregon State.
Oh, yeah.
So an early grammar nerd.
So you're born in Corvallis, and but you came to the Yakima area at a pretty young age.
Yeah, in high school, we moved here. My parents were kind of early pioneers in Grocery Outlet, the company. We were the first in Washington State here in the city of Yakima. Our old store was over at First and Nob Hill, and my parents started that in 1982, which I can't believe is now, 43 years ago.
Wow.
It was part of my life for sure. I worked in the store, helped mom and dad every single department. I cleaned the toilets, whatever needed to be done. I did it all, counted the money and everything. Great experience, learned a lot about people, and I actually enjoyed serving the public. I thought that was a great way to get me out of my shell because I'm kind of shy. And, it forced me to.
So following high school, you went back to Corvallis.
I did. I graduated from Oregon State because that's what we do. I definitely had to finish at Oregon State. I started at Central, did 2 years up there, and then finished at Oregon State.
And what was the focus of your studies in college?
So journalism, which is kind of funny now looking back. I really love the news and getting information out, and my focus was actually on simplified communication, and so that the public could readily access information that was complex.
Yeah.
And it was the program at Oregon State was about that. It was about being able to write stories for stuff like popular mechanics, magazines and publications that talk about very complicated issues. And actually, it's been helpful in this job.
Yeah, that's the thought that was going through my head. That's good preparation for working in local government for sure.
Well, it is because, a lot of what we do is so complicated and the public is very confused. I was definitely confused as well as a business owner as how cities function. And so, I see a lot of potential with something like this and other ways we reach out to the public to explain why is the city doing that.
And maybe, sometime in the future on a different show, we can talk about that a little bit more about how almost every issue that we face in local government is complex and multi-layered and trying how we try and simplify that information so that the community has buy-in and the community has understanding. That is a future topic for us to discuss. But you mentioned as a business person, so after college, you finish, and now?
Well, so I'll skip a few years ahead, and my parents decided to retire from Grocery Outlet, and so this is 28 years ago or so, moved back to Yakima, had taken a break and lived in Oregon for a little while. But then came back to Yakima and bought the store from Mom and Dad in 1999.
Wow.
And so we ran that store for 26 years.
We being?
My husband and I. We divided the store in half because you might imagine both firstborn, type A people. We divided the store into pieces so that we could work together very well. And we did for a long time. And then fast forwarding ahead again to 2020 when I was actually appointed Yakima County Commissioner and worked that job while my husband ran the store. And by the way, remember that thing happened in 2020 called COVID. So COVID was happening and my husband was running that store and it was open and it was very challenging year for me in that position, of course, brand new, trying to help open businesses in that environment was very challenging, and also learning about government. That was my first government role.
What prompted you to put your name in the hat and say, yeah, if I were appointed, I'd do the job of county commissioner?
I've always had kind of this. My grandmother always used to tell me, if you can't complain if you don't, or if you're not willing to help and solve problems. And I'm kind of wired for that. I love solving problems. You've probably seen that in some of our meetings. I like to tackle things and really not just kick the can in anything. And so I really saw it as an opportunity to make local impact. And when folks have talked to me about government, there's so much frustration out there about government in general, but really what matters is local. And I didn't understand that for a long time. As a business person, I was, always focused on Olympia or the federal government and just thinking that's where the action was. Well, everything happens here. And I did not know that for a while, and I figured that out. And so I always now try to teach people about local government because that's the place to be involved. When you can call me and you know me, I live here, we make decisions that impact you more than just about anything.
So speaking of, you live here, after your tenure as county commissioner, you spent a little bit of time with a local organization called YVCOG, Yakima Valley Conference of Governments. And then the position of Yakima City Manager comes open.
Yes.
And again, what was your mindset? You said, yeah, I want to do that, or at least be considered.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I saw Yakima, I still do, with so much potential. This is my home. I care about it. I wanted to fight for Yakima and make it better. I've been paying attention to local government for a number of years, and I just saw, oh boy, this is an opportunity to really get in there and focus on stuff that the people need to see happen, the economic development, all of the revitalization that needs to happen. Those things that we're working on here. And it's a place to really feel like you go to work and make a difference every day. And I love it. And this job has been, I don't know, it's been a challenge, but at the same time, I love a challenge and I love to solve problems. So I feel like I'm kind of a fish in water, and we have an amazing team here.
You and your husband sold grocery outlet.
Yes.
Not that long ago.
Right. It was a difficult decision because it had been, that's my family for 43 years of my life. That's a long time. But my husband, I think because of what happened when I was commissioner and I had hired someone to do my job and he had been kind of doing it alone with support, but we had a lot of fun as a team when we did it together. And so it had been a number of years and he'd been kind of doing this by himself and I think he just was ready to retire. So we did that. He retired in April and now he makes me dinner. Randy, it's amazing.
It's got to be nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me as we were talking before we started the show that one of the things you really appreciated about working in the private sector, and particularly at Grocery Outlet, you had this opportunity to influence young people.
Yeah. We were a first job, and you get to meet kids when they're just in that formative first job place where, a lot of them had never really, what's a broom? What do I do with that? They had not really learned to work yet. And they're just moldable, And I didn't realize at first how much impact a business owner can have on their future. If you give them positive feedback and reinforcement and kind of teach them that, yep, you're at the grocery outlet today and you're sweeping floors or you're cashiering or whatever you're doing, but this is not where you're going to finish. You're going to go off and be a nurse and we'd had all kinds of people. I mean, they went on to do amazing things, and it just makes me proud that, I may have given them a lecture or two when they were young, but I think that was really the best part of it, was seeing all those kids take off and do great things. And, being in this position, I think I'm even able to have greater impact, and be positive. That's what I want to be, is in this community, someone who can help lead us towards positive things and to help develop kids and be, possibly, role model, or help them see that, somebody like me, I've done it all in the grocery outlet. I've been a bank teller. I've done a lot of jobs in my life. All of them led me to this position. I didn't start here. And I think that's something that can encourage young people.
It just a real quick step back. You talked about, you are from here. That's a bit unusual for city managers here in Yakima for decades. We have not had somebody who is actually, from Yakima, lived in Yakima for decades. Have you found that has been an advantage for you?
Yeah. I really didn't know. I thought, okay, I have a lot to learn about cities, but I thought, learning everything, that's been going well. I mean, we have an amazing team who knows their jobs, and they don't need me to micromanage. And I'm not a micromanager by nature anyway. But having the angle of knowing who does what in this community, where people live, what happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when the mall was here, what this community was like, what the airport was like in those days, all of that is in my mind. I don't have to learn it. And so it's very helpful to know who to call when I need something. I already know. I think that actually might have been easier as far as being city manager. I didn't have to make contacts. I already had them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And people, likewise, people know you in this community.
Yeah, and they know I didn't change. I'm still me. I'm still the person that you knew as a business owner, maybe at school. Maybe I've known people for 40 plus years. This position didn't change me. So, people are calling me and reaching out about things, and I'm trying to help. I'm still that person. So over this past year plus, certainly, as is always the case with local government, there have been challenges. But as you look down the road, you look to the same time next year, maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 years, where do you see the community then? Oh, I am so excited for us. I really am. And I see, when I talk about, any challenges that we're facing right now, it's a season of time we have to get through. We're fixing problems. But long term, we're going to grow. And I think we're laying all of the groundwork for that. And I think we have great bones. Like, you look at an old house and you're like, oh, it's got great bones. We have everything going for us. We have all the sunshine. We're right in the middle of the state. We have assets, the airport, all the things that we can possibly do to grow. I don't have to make any of them. They're already here. We just have to revitalize some things and set some vision, get the right people to the table. I'm excited. We're going to do great.
And again, as you said, a season in time. We've been down the path before with financial challenges. We're not really going to focus on that today. We're going to talk about that on a future episode of the Yakima Agenda Podcast. But those things do come and go.
Yeah,
they do pass.
They do. I know it's so easy to get caught up in a challenge, and it just stepping back from it and looking at the future. I am not deterred. We're going forward, and I really am optimistic.
Is there something in particular that you have found yourself focusing on during this first year that maybe you didn't anticipate focusing on?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I knew I was going to be focused on finances. I've spent a lot more time on that, but I also think that the city of Yakima, the surprise to me was kind of the size of our portfolio and all the things that we do at the city. It's a lot more than a normal city does. And so I think, it's going to take some time to kind of look at each one of those things and kind of shore everything up. That's kind of the surprise, I think, is that I didn't realize we do all kinds of things. We have a cemetery, for heaven's sake. as a city. So, and there's opportunities in all of those things.
I think that's really insightful, and most people don't know. But people from here, they don't know that. No, not every city runs a transit system. Not every city runs a cemetery. Not every city runs a water system or a sewer system. We do.
Yeah.
We're called what is generally speaking or referred to as a full service city, and there aren't many.
Right.
For sure.
A handful, I think. Yeah, and it presents challenges, but it also means, here we are, Yakima, in the center of the state, providing a lot to the region, and everybody's kind of counting on us to do a lot of those things, and I think they're important things that we do. So we just want to make sure we're doing them well, and like I said, shoring up financial situations as needed.
Well, thank you for being here. We're gonna call that the first show. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's always great to learn about people's backgrounds and kind of how they ended up where they are today. And hopefully folks who are listening will get a little bit of that insight into you and who you are, and particularly the fact that you're very positive and you're a champion of Yakima.
I absolutely am. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to the next time. Thanks again for joining us for this debut edition of the Yakima Agenda Podcast. The Yakima Agenda Podcast is a production of YPAC and the City of Yakima Community Relations Office. Our producers are Mike Brown and Bonnie Lozano. John Fannin provides valuable research for our show. I'm Randy Beeler. Please join us for the next Yakima Agenda Podcast. Take care.